Hi, I'm Melanie Woolwine. I'm one of the visual art teachers at Patriot High School. I will not be here for back to school night, so I wanted to create a video for the adults and parents of the home that have a student in one of my classes. So, first thing you need to know for your art student is that they have a running to-do or running list of daily activities that's listed on the homepage. Everything we do in class is on our Canvas homepage. So if you're in Art 1, you go to the Art 1 Canvas homepage, it tells you every single day what we're doing. So the good thing about that is if you're out, you're absent for an extended period of time, for whatever circumstance, that you can check the homepage and know what you missed. Also on the homepage, I link all the assignments, any videos, presentation slides, anything is on the homepage, so you don't have to look through modules and assignments and all those things. Look through the homepage to see what days that you missed. I do have Art 1 is a pretty big class. I have 3 different classes and they're on odd days and even days. So if you are in an Art 1 class, then you would have to check and make sure you're paying attention to the specific day. That's the only thing. Computer art, AP, and portfolio, I only have during those days. It's just that one class I have in the Canvas class. So just check that one and you'll be on point for those. Art 1, make sure you're on the correct day. But we still do the same things. So then the next thing would be is scoring. Scoring of assignments is a 1, 2, 3, 4 scoring. So if your student ever gets a 0 in the grade book, that just means that nothing was submitted. They didn't submit anything to me, so then they earned nothing in return. A 0 is a 0. I don't put NHIs in the grade book. They're in high school. They need to know that if they don't turn anything in, it's a 0. The scoring goes based on my rubric, which is a 3 I can statement rubric for each standard that I have listed. So for example, one of the standards for fine arts is the student can create an original work of art using the elements of art and principles of design. That's a huge, big, open umbrella for whatever assignment. So I usually use that one. And then I usually say, I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this within that one standard based on the specific project we're doing. Now, for projects, you might have 4 summative scores for a project, and I only give summative scores. I'll talk about formatives in a second, but say we have 4 summative scores for an assignment. So that's 4 chances to get 0s or 4 chances to get 4s. Now, within one score of the assignment, it's based on 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those standards will have 3 I can statements. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. If you can do all 3 and you meet the 3, you get a 90. If you exceed the 3, you get a 100. That's mastery, and you'll see on the rubric what incorporates mastery. What do you have to do to get mastery? Then 1 and 2 is I can do one thing. I did something. That's a 60. Number 2 is I can do 2 things, 2 out of those 3 things, I get a 75. So it goes 0, you didn't hand in anything, you did something, that's 1, is a 60. 2, I can do 2 things under that standard, 75. I can meet the standard, which is a 90, because doing what I'm asking you to do doesn't grant you 100. Exceeding what I'm asking you to do gives you that 100. The one big thing in all of my classes is studio habits. This is how your students are doing in class daily. So if they're setting out their supplies, if they're cleaning up correctly, if they are not on their phones and not being distracted, if they're working the entire time in class. That is what the studio habits score is based on. And if you want to know how your student's doing in class, if they're paying attention, doing what they need to do, check studio habits. If it's a 2, they're probably not meeting expectations. If it's a 1, they are definitely not meeting expectations. If it's a 0, they're not doing anything in class and they're having behavioral issues, probably, more than likely. If it's a 4, they're doing awesome. Every day they come in, they help clean up the class, they do what they need to do for their personal. So that's a really good score if they get a 4 for studio habits. That means that they're really working hard. So also another thing to check is parent view. I might put different messages in for each student. I know I'm having a few issues with phones being out. I don't allow students or anyone in Patriot, the phones are not allowed out in class during instructional time. We have a lot of other technology that helps them, that they can use for visual references or what have you if we're doing something digitally. So check comments in parent view. That'll tell you what they're doing with studio habits. If they're not cleaning up, or if they're on their phone, or they're not working the entire time, which is usually the 3 that I have the most troubles with for that. The other thing is, I stated that they don't have any formative assignments. They have formative assignments, I just don't put them in the grade book. The formative assignments they have are little activities that lead up to the project, and those are gonna go towards their pacing score. A pacing score is something that cannot be retaken either because it's timely. If I'm asking a student to give me drafts, research, and visual references from the internet, then that's 3 things that they can do for planning, and that's their pacing score for their projects. So they can't hand in a project and then go, wait, let me draft something for you for that project I already handed in. You can't do that in art. You have to start with those things. So the pacing score are formatives that are added up to equal that 1 pacing score. So that's another thing that you can check to see how well your student is doing with the rigor in the class is studio habits and pacing score. If those 2 are low, then you can guarantee the rest of their projects are going to be low too, just because they're not doing anything in class. That's why. They're not prepared. They didn't do their planning for the project. They are just sitting there like, I don't know. I didn't do those things. So that's why their ultimate end grade would be low, is because of the studio habits and pacing scores. So now I'm going to talk about supplies for each of the different classes. So for Art 1, the supply fee is $25, and this is what they get for their $25. They get various paper and chipboard, tag board for their portfolio at the end of the year so they can take all their work home. They get 2 art pencils, 2 glue sticks, 3 different size Sharpie. They get an ultra fine Sharpie, a regular Sharpie, and a chisel tip, a big black Sharpie. Pack of markers, a pack of colored pencils, 2 different art erasers, a knead eraser and a hard angled eraser. They get 2 tiny brushes for our acrylic painting, a watercolor set with brushes. And then they're also able to use the supplies in the studio. The studio is set up to where the students are using the cabinets and and the drawers and all that. So it's a really open form of studio. So I'm really trusting them to clean up and be responsible with all the equipment. Please look for an email from me regarding the supplies and the supply fee. If you're wondering where you can pay for the supply fee, go to the Canvas homepage. Everything, Canvas homepage, parents. There's a link for the Riker online payment. You can pay there, or you can pay in cash or check. Give it to your child. I write it down. I receipt it the same way as the online payment does. If you have any questions, please email me at WOOLWIME, my first name is Melanie, at pwcs.edu. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to an exciting year in Art 1.